You might already know by now that every country has different approaches to eating out. In some countries, tipping is not only expected, but it's mandatory and is already part of the bill. Some cultures always expect you to wait at the door to be seated, while some places have no such expectation. Today we'll look at Lithuanian dining culture and some things that might be different than what you're used to where you're from. So let's get started. Let's first start at the front door. In general, you don't need to wait to be seated at most restaurants in Lithuania. Of course, this is not 100% the case, but if you walk in and don't see any kind of sign asking you to wait, then you're probably okay to proceed to the nearest empty table. Once you're seated, staff will come by shortly with menus. In some cases, menus will be multilingual and English will be found in smaller letters below Lithuanian. In other cases, you'll need to ask for an English menu. Sometimes, if you look foreign enough, serving staff will bring you an English menu without you even having to ask. Even before you step into the restaurant, you may see signs outside advertising something called Dienos Pietūs. This term most simply translates to lunch and equates to a business or working day lunch special. Dienos Pietūs deals, offered from Monday to Friday during the middle of the day, are some of the best opportunities to try new restaurants at a discounted price. On the lower range, meals can be as little as 4 to 6 euros, but more upscale restaurants with Dienos Pietūs meals can be as much as 15 euros. The next thing you should know is that the price you see is inclusive of tax. Where I'm from in Canada, restaurant menus often don't include tax, which means 5% is added onto the total at the end of the meal. But thankfully, this is not the case in Lithuania, or in most of Europe. What you see is what you pay. When it comes to drinking water with your meal, my experience is that restaurants in Lithuania can vary quite a lot. Here are some of the possibilities. 1. The server will bring you free tap water without you having to ask. 2. You might have to ask for tap water, which will be free of charge. 3. You might have to ask for tap water and you'll have to pay a few euros for it. Or 4. Tap water won't be available and you'll have to pay for some form of bottled water. On a personal note, this last option is really stupid. Tap water in much of Lithuania is safe to drink and tastes good, and I would be happy to pay for it. However, not having the option and instead being forced to pay for some packaged product that potentially traveled at least a few hundred miles seems just ridiculous. But I'll just leave my ranting there. When it comes to the dining experience, I find it less common for servers to approach you after your food has arrived to ask how everything is. Doing this seems much more common in Canada and in the US, and only happens occasionally here, most likely at fancier restaurants, of course. Restaurants usually aren't in a hurry to get you out the door, and you usually have to ask your server to bring you the check. Finally, we come to the contentious issue of tipping. In Lithuania, it is customary to tip at restaurants, but not at fast food places. While it's not as ingrained in dining etiquette as it is in American culture, I've been informed that the typical expectation for tipping in Lithuania is between 5 and 15%, and is usually 10%. But of course, this might depend on your meal experience and the service you received. This is most often expected to be in the form of cash, even if you are paying for your meal by card. Some, but not all, restaurants do accept tip via card, but you will definitely need to ask first. If they say yes, then just look at your bill and what you owe, then mentally add the amount you want to tip, and then ask the server to charge you this total amount through the card machine. There are a handful of restaurants in Lithuania, notably the popular chain London Grill, that use the Tip-It system. This is a separate payment terminal that allows you to tip by card. I've had mixed experiences with this, ranging from a smooth transaction, to problems with the wireless connection, to being declined the ability to use it. This last experience was due to the fact that the server was working outside of his normal shift, meaning that tips on this device would not have been shared with him. In most of my recent dining experiences, however, I've been told over and over again that tipping by card is not accepted. One server told me that the issue was raised with his restaurant's management, who explained that it would be a complicated procedure to set up, with the government then taking a percentage of the tip as taxes. This would explain why cash is the preferred method of tipping for most restaurants and their serving staff. So that's it for the things you need to know when it comes to restaurant dining in Lithuania. If your experiences are different from what we've explained here, let us know in the comments, and if you find any of this helpful, do let me know. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.